It's time for Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott, episode 140. This week, we talk about Microsoft's out-of-band patch for Internet Explorer, Windows 7 Mobile, it's almost here, and the return of Neelie Kroes. No! It's Windows Weekly, right after this.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott, episode 140 for January 22nd, 2010. It's finger-friendly. Windows Weekly is brought to you by GoToMeeting, the affordable way to meet with clients and colleagues. For your free 30-day trial, visit GoToMeeting.com/WindowsWeekly. And by Audible.com. To download a free audiobook of your choice, go to Audible.com/Windows. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show that's all about Microsoft with a star. The man behind the super site for Windows, Mr. Paul Thurrott. WinSupersite.com. Hello, Paulie.
Hello, Leo.
How's things in Dedham?
Things are good. Cold. But,
how are things in Dedham, Mass? So, snow?
Like the Dedham ambassador to the world.
You are. I'm the king of Petaluma. You're the king of Dedham.
Sure.
Although I have to say, I had an embarrassing experience on Foursquare this morning. Do you know about Foursquare?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's a location-based app that you say, you check in to venues.
Sure.
Which reminds me, I ought to check in here. I was at DMV, and I checked in this morning at the Department of Motor Vehicles because I was getting the new Twit.tv license tags for the car.
Nice.
And it declared me mayor of DMV. So now I am officially not only the president of the internet. Actually, maybe I have to give up that to be mayor of DMV.
Here's a fun thing people can do. If you go to Wikipedia and you look up Dedham, you'll discover that I am one of the famous people that have lived in Dedham.
Probably the only one, right?
Oh, no, I guess there are others. It doesn't matter, but I'm not actually famous. So the reason that's there is this happened years ago. I was telling someone how useless Wikipedia was because anyone could edit it. And I don't even remember who it was now, but this person didn't believe this. I said, here, let me show you something. And I added myself to this list as a joke.
And it's still there.
Oh, yeah. But here's the funny part of the story. I went back later to remove it, and I got a nasty gram from Wikipedia that told me I was not allowed to edit that.
You're not.
This is an absolute true story.
So Dedham, Massachusetts. Let's see. It's the county seat of Norfolk County.
Of course it is.
It is a town of a population of 23,000, located on Boston's southwest border.
Largely unchanged since 1970.
Largely unchanged. The Board of Selectmen includes a select woman.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see if we can scroll down here after history, geography, demographics, seal flag, government, community organizations, places of worship, points of interest, transportation, notable residents. NASCAR driver Pete Hamilton.
Am I still there?
The author of Little Women, Louisa May Alcott. And yes, Paul Thurrott, author and tech reporter.
So what's really funny about this
right above Richard Trethewey,
as I should be,
on this old house.
I mean, he's kind of an also-ran on that show. But the point is, I have been approached by so many people in Dedham who, including people who are sort of prominent in the town. And, I basically get this, like, dude, what the hell? Like, what is this?
Come on. It's not exactly a glittering list of characters. I mean,
sure.
I would say you're as famous as notable hockey player Paul McCabe, professional boxer Freddie Roach.
Okay, well, I don't know.
And the outfielder for the Boston Beaneaters in 1891, John Frederick Kiley. I think you're in that league.
I don't know.
Well, not the National
uncomfortable
League.
About it. But anyway, I just think it's funny. I tried to do the, this was put in there as a joke.
I wonder if it's in the discussion.
Yeah.
Let's see. Should Paul Thurrott be?
Yeah. Is this how low Wikipedia is going to sink?
Yeah.
Or the town of Dedham, I guess, depending on how you look at it. Anywho.
It doesn't actually, there's no discussion over you. You're just, it's a given.
It is given, yeah.
That you're the one of the select.
Oh, I thought you meant that Wikipedia was useless. Oh, yes.
No,
okay.
Wikipedia is very useful. I love Wikipedia.
Really? Well, you don't write about medical topics.
Have you gone in there and said, "Oh, that's not right"?
Oh, no, my wife can't use Wikipedia.
Oh yeah, no. I would hope that.
I see. So as long as it's not something that would affect someone's life, it's okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I hope my surgeon's not looking up the operation on Wikipedia prior to entering the chamber.
You wouldn't go to People Magazine for health tips. You probably would. Unfortunately, that's
the point. I mean, you got to consider the source and the task to which it's being applied.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
Oh, he woke up.
The little penguin guy.
Pingo the penguin woke up. He just made a little ook sound.
I'm always nervous when I see you with something that my daughter would play with.
But you got to understand, Pingo the penguin, which will be a gadget on one of our shows later on, will read me my Facebook updates in a guttural, unintelligible voice, and he runs around in circles when he's doing.
Have we had the discussion yet about the silliness of certain gadgets and how people who just love gadgets tend to?
This is one of them.
Yeah.
$129 from Switzerland.
Wow.
Well, I didn't buy it. I have to confess. I will confess. I'm going to issue a cmp.ly/ I think 2 on this one, which means I was given the product for free.
Right.
So consider the source when you hear my review of Pingo, the Facebook reading penguin.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to... Oh, Pingo.
Yikes.
Shut up.
This might be good for a Linux show.
That's why I got it, because it's a penguin. They actually sent me an email and said, we see you have a penguin that removes the tea bag from your teacup when its 5 minutes are done. We see that you have a penguin toothpick dispenser. We see that you have in your cocktail cabinet a penguin martini shaker. Perhaps you would like Pingo, the desktop friend penguin. So I said, of course. Completes my set.
I don't know you anymore.
This is not why people tune into this show. Paul, they tune in for your insightful analysis of the tech industry, and in particular, that portion of the tech industry that's centered around the little burb of Redmond, Washington.
That's where I should be living, not in Dedham.
Yeah.
If I moved from Dedham, do you think they would take me off the list?
No, because look, if the Boston Bean Eater's still there, 120 years later.
I did grow up in Dedham.
Oh, you did? You're a local boy. Oh, yeah. Did you see that Microsoft, this is not on your list, but I thought a kind of an interesting story, that Microsoft and Apple are in negotiations to replace Google on the iPhone?
Well, reportedly, right, which is why it's not in my
Because it's just a rumor.
Well, no, neither company has ever confirmed that, so we will see.
I think it's a great story.
I think that the story here, of course, is that Apple is unhappy with Google for reasons that should be obvious to everybody, and that the little honeymoon period there is over. I remember thinking that back when the iPhone was first released, there was some weirdness around, Google was in the phone, in the apps. Yahoo at the time, remember when the iPhone first came out, that Yahoo was the only consumer email service that offered push email right at the beginning.
Right. On the iPhone,
on the iPhone, when it first shipped. I mean, obviously that's changed over
That's
time.
why I have continually, over the last 3 years, paid the $20 a year for Yahoo Premium. Yahoo Plus.
I always thought that was really odd how they split up who was doing what.
Right.
And
Divide
I think what we're
and conquer.
Yeah. Well, and now I think that I don't know what the phrase is. The bloom is off the rose. The honeymoon is over. I'm not really sure how to say it, but I think that
now
Google
that Google's Nexus One is such a strong contender, in the smartphone space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was cute when Google was just going after Microsoft, right? Everyone sort of rallied around that, but now they go after Apple, and it's like, whoa, hold on.
Right.
It's a different story. So,
I mean, it came from Business Week. That's a fairly credible source.
Sure. No, I mean, and next week, and we'll talk about the Apple stuff in a little while, but next week Apple will have this event, and I think many of these questions will be answered, and some rumors will be proven true. Some will not necessarily be proven false, but maybe need to be put off for a later date. I guess we will see.
You just upgraded to your 3GS. I'm surprised you did that, given that the HD2 is on its way. This is I'm going to have that Windows mobile phone we loved.
Right. So I'm going to have 2 phones. My wife has a Droid. I've decided that having this thing in the house is enough. I can when I need to look at
one
Android
Droid
stuff.
per family.
No. I honestly, and I wrote this, I think, in the mailbag. If I wasn't Microsoft oriented. You know, if I wasn't doing this site and this wasn't my career, I do take advantage of a lot of Google services. And I think at this point in time, probably would go with Android personally if I was a normal person. You know,
I've been extremely happy, and I think you hit the nail on the head. If you use
I think
Google
there's some iPhone fatigue.
Yep.
I think. And, you know, the iPhone, it's funny, we were talking, it's less than 3 years later. In fact, it's been 3 years since it was first announced, right? I want to say 3 years ago.
March 2007. Yeah.
It's funny how quaint it seems in a way right now, right, compared to some of the other stuff that's going on. And I remember looking when the iPhone first came out, you know, one of the big advantages of a new platform, whether you're talking about cloud computing or a smartphone platform like the iPhone, when they first come out, they're so clean and new and shiny. When you have the chance to start over, it's really exciting. And yes, there's always functionality that's missing that gets plugged in over time. But before something gets truly mature, like Windows or Mac OS 10 or whatever, you know, you have a lot of growth that happens very fast. It's very exciting and interesting. And it's funny how after just 3 years, the iPhone seems very stale. You know, whereas things like Android now, I think, have taken over that excitement factor.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that's the case, and we were talking before we started, is you upgraded the 3GS, and you said, "What's the difference?" It's not. It's such
a lot of people I know upgraded to the 3GS right when it first came out,
including yours.
Of course, no, and of course, and I'm surprised I didn't actually. And I think the reason I didn't was just I took offense at the huge cost I would have paid upgrading at the time, and I paid.
And you make a really good point, which is, what did I get? I must have been drunk with.
Well, so many people told me, no, you don't understand. It's so much faster, and it's, you know, it's not.
No.
And people who say that, I honestly think they want to believe it because they just spend so much money on this thing, and they want to feel like they got something out of it.
Speed is very subjective for one thing.
It certainly launches applications a little bit faster. In the running of applications, there's no difference, but in the overall experience, there's no difference. And by the way, my iPhone 3G had some performance issues. I almost brought it in a few times just to have it looked at because I was so concerned about it. But going from that phone to a brand new 3GS, really what I'm looking at is a lot more storage capacity, which I do enjoy because I can use this thing like an iPhone, like an iPod when I travel.
And that's one thing the Droid really doesn't do very well. It's not an iPod.
No. In fact, I was just talking about that with my wife. I want to go look at that because I don't quite understand. If I have an H.264 video with an Android phone and I want to watch it, how do I get it on there? And then once it's on there, where is it? And what do I use? And I don't know the answer to that. So
I use a program called DoubleTwist. Google DoubleTwist.
Yeah, and that's actually, I was discussing that I've almost recommended that. And the reason I haven't yet as a software pick of the week is I can't get it to work reliably, not in the sense that it doesn't connect to devices, because it does. It works great like that. But I have all these playlists in iTunes, and I can't get it to accurately have them show up in that application, I should say reliably or routinely. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not, and I can't explain why that is.
It's worked for me.
In fact, I was just talking to her about that. So you actually see your playlists.
Yeah, well, you have to import your playlists, and then you'll sync them. And yes, I do see them. And
okay, so I don't.
And it syncs them up. And what else am I getting?
And once it's on there, what plays this thing?
There's a media player on it. Now I'm using the Nexus 1, which is, I think, incrementally better. It's certainly faster than the Droid. And 2.1 has some nice features. I know this isn't the Android show. This is a Windows show, but I just,
No, but these are, these are important platforms. And I think that...
By the way, you've been removed from the Dedham page. You should never have said anything.
No, that's fine. I actually don't like that I'm in that, so that's good. Anyway, DoubleTwist is interesting. So I think if, it's kind of a weird world where someone wants to manage media with iTunes, especially on Windows because it's so lousy. But if you have a device like a Palm device or an Android device, a Windows mobile device, and maybe you have iPods and you do use iTunes, it's neat to work like that. You can also use it with Windows Media Player, apparently, although I have the same issue there as far as the playlists go. Oh,
that's interesting. I didn't realize that. So it's not just iTunes.
No, maybe that's a Windows thing.
Okay. So, you're right. I think the playlists are not getting propagated over. I thought it was supposed to.
Well, there is a setting, and I don't remember. It's one of the initial menus where you can sync the playlists or something. But mine are grayed out.
Huh.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. So anyway, we'll get, maybe someday that will be a pick. I need to play with it some more.
I do. I mean, and this moves movies and photos over as well as music and so forth.
And by the way, the other reason that this tool is cool is sometimes you have media that's locked on the device. There are pictures that came with it,
right,
or you take pictures with it. This is a way to copy them back as well. So if you want to get stuff from the phone onto your PC, this tool also does that as well.
It's from DVD John. That's what I think.
It's right. Yeah. And it works with Windows Mobile.
Yeah.
So there's your Windows tie-in.
Oh, thank you. Thank God.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of trying to segue into the Bing story, which is that Microsoft is going to make Bing more private. Again, this is an opportunity, I think, for Microsoft because, the number one concern people have over using Google is privacy.
Privacy, sure. So right now, all the major search engines retain IP address information with search results, meaning that it would be possible with a subpoena to tie a search back to a person or at least to a house, so that if in the event of a crime, perhaps maybe you want to go, well, I mean, it's a realistic scenario, somebody kills their spouse or somebody, and then you can go back and say, look, someone in this house was Googling how to poison your spouse. Or something,
good point.
There are reasons for this stuff. Now, Microsoft, Google, and Yahoo have all made the same argument that the reason they retain this information for as long as they do, which right now is 18 months in the case of all three companies, is that it gives them a way. They need the data to improve search results. And now what Microsoft is saying is that they will adhere to the recommendations of some privacy advocates in the EU who recommended that they start stripping the IP address information from the search results at 6 months instead of 18 months. So they're going to do it. And of course, Microsoft being Microsoft, they'll take the low road and condemn their competitors for not doing the same.
Well, it's interesting because they're doing it because of the EU, not necessarily for marketing purposes, although I think it has some marketing value. But I think it's kind of ironic that the same law enforcement governmental agencies that want them to retain, another branch of the government that wants them to retain more information, and then another branch of the government that says no, less.
Now, I don't know. I would say off the top of my head, because I'm not actually positive, I'm guessing you're alluding to the fact that the U.S. government would like
more,
not only for them to retain this, but for them to, for them as the government to have access to it.
Yeah. And I would imagine that the police authorities in the EU, at least some of them feel that way.
So, obviously, the EU has been pretty aggressive in their regulation of this kind of stuff. So I think Microsoft is being proactive,
right,
to prevent yet another issue.
So it really isn't a marketing thing. They're just
no, but you might as well make lemonade, right?
Absolutely.
Sure. Absolutely. And if you are concerned about privacy, this is a reason, at least temporarily, to consider Bing over, say, Google. Although I suspect that Google and Yahoo and anyone else will also change their policy to match this.
Yeah. Well, if once Microsoft's done it, you bet. Are you using Bing? Are you happy with Bing? Are you a Binger?
So I use Bing for certain things. I don't actually use it day to day. And part of the reason is I don't actually, it's funny. I don't Google for information all that often. I do Google for images really regularly. And it's everything for, album art, maybe for a DVD or CD or something that I rip something and I want to create a digital copy, or I'm creating a graphic for my website and I need a logo or something like that. And I think, this is yet another one of those divides where there is the world at large, normal people and the way that they do things. And then there's me, and I have very specific needs because of the work that I do. I don't like the way that Bing displays images, because I need them in a specific way. But I think if you were looking for images of celebrities, like if you're a normal person, and you read People magazine,
couldn't be
or whatever,
better for that. Yeah,
it works great for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right. And it just so happens that I just don't use the web that way. So I look at this and I think this is how people would like to have information displayed, and you can see Google is in some ways copying that in some things. And I'm actually really afraid that Google Images, the image search, I should say, which I find very useful, will eventually change to match Bing, right? Because then it will become useless to me. So, not useless, but harder to use.
Less useful, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very curious if this really is a true story about Microsoft switching to Bing, or Apple switching to Bing on the iPhone. How
That's a tough one.
Fanboys will react. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So when Apple, when Steve Jobs was in Boston at Macworld years and years ago and had, Bill Gates beaming
on
down
the
like
screen.
Big Brother.
Yeah.
It was a horrible way to do what they did, wrong thing to do. It's obviously a different day and age and everything, but I think the problem with announcing that, let's say next week, Apple comes out and says, hey, we're going to go with Bing instead of Google. You're not going to get a lot of people who are excited by that. I don't think that there's a lot of perception out there that Bing is better across the board, even though I do feel it is better.
I think it's adequate.
Search.
I think it's it's. I don't think most people would even notice unless Microsoft.
So let's just use the word you used. I don't think that the average iPhone user is looking for an adequate experience.
No, you're probably right.
So I just have a hard time imagining that going over well. Yeah. I think that if they went with Yahoo search in a way, that would almost be better from a perception standpoint.
Yeah, it would definitely be better, even though it would be a much worse search.
Be Bing.
Right.
But I think that the value of the Yahoo thing is more in the brand, and I think that one thing Yahoo will do, even when they are on Bing, is differentiate themselves from Bing, not just with branding, but with services around the search and different customized experiences and so forth. And maybe they could do something like that on the iPhone. But honestly, despite all the bad vibes between Google and Apple, I wouldn't be surprised if next week passed without any announcement one way or the other there. But, I'm not much of a
prognosticator.
Yeah.
You're not a peerless prognosticator?
No, not.
We're going to talk about some security issues because another Google story, Google and Microsoft inextricably linked in security as well. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But before we do, I do want to mention our friends at GoToMeeting. If you want to try GoToMeeting, you've probably heard us talk about it. This is that great online meeting service that's brought to you from the folks at Citrix. They've got remote access down. I mean, they pretty much invented it. Microsoft even uses Citrix protocols for RDP. They licensed it, and I think Citrix is probably the #1 enterprise remote access solution on Windows. But they also have a very good consumer-grade product that's designed to be easy to use. And, maybe you say, well, I don't need easy to use. But, if you're going to have a meeting and ask clients, for instance, you want to pitch them on something, ask them to, instead of, going to visit them or having a conference call, ask them to do an online meeting. It's got to be dead simple for them. And that's where I think GoToMeeting really excels. In fact, I can walk you through the scenario. Let's do it. First, go to gotomeeting.com/Windows Weekly so you can install it. That'll take about a minute. I mean, it really is straightforward. Just sign up for the account. You get 30 days free, unlimited meetings. Sign up for the account. Now, the next time you want to pitch somebody, you got your PowerPoint together, and maybe you're getting ready to pack the bags and spend all that money to go to the client, whether it's driving across town or flying across country. Say, whoa, I'd like to save some money. Hold on there. Call the client, start the conversation. Say, it's great to talk to you. I've prepared a little presentation that can explain a little bit more about what we can do for you. I'd like to show it to you if you don't mind. And the client's going to say, well, that would be great. What are you going to describe each slide on the phone? And you say, no, my friend, no. We are a forward-thinking, technology-driven company. We can do better. Here's client, Mr. Client, sir, Madam Client, ma'am. Go to gotomeeting.com. Are you there on your browser? Okay. Click the Join a Meeting button. Okay, you got that? Now, here's the meeting number. And boom, all of a sudden they're seeing your PowerPoint or your keynote presentation right there on their screen, or maybe the spreadsheets or the slides, the drawings. They're seeing what you would be flying out there to show them. And I can guarantee you this is more engaging than a conference call. It's much more effective, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper. Less than $49 a month for unlimited meetings as long as you want, as often as you want, and that includes voice over IP and phone conferencing. For this award-winning service, that's such a deal. Fully secure, too. There's never been an exploit with GoToMeeting remote access. GoToMeeting online meetings, they're the best. Try it for free. GoToMeeting.com/Windows Weekly. You can thank me later. Mr. Paul Thurrott.
Yes, sir.
This whole Google security thing that, it's, by the way, tumbling down around Google's ears right now. It's all turning into, because now they've said, we can't ship our phones in China, and a couple of partners are saying, wait a minute, we had phone announcements with the Android operating system. Sony Ericsson says, no, we're going ahead. China's
and now Microsoft is saying, we've got you right where we want you.
Yeah. Except
Except
Mike, Google was quick to point out that the reason that they got hacked in the first place was a flaw in Internet Explorer, an unrevealed zero-day flaw.
Maybe
just a little.
As you were doing that last ad, I got an email, and Microsoft has released the patch in question.
The patch is here,
so everyone's safe.
An out of cycle patch update Thursday.
Yeah, so
Thursday
that's rare but not unprecedented, obviously. But to put this in perspective, apparently part of this hack that occurred against Google came out of a previously unknown vulnerability in all current versions of IE, which includes IE 6, 7, and 8. Actually, it was IE 6 that was used. I guess if you have IE 7 or 8, the default configuration is such that it's not impossible, but it's almost impossible for this vulnerability to be exploited. And more to the point, there's been a lot of uproar about the browser. The governments of France and Germany both came out and said, look, we recommend that you don't use IE until this is fixed. It's time to switch to a different browser, that kind of thing. This is a big overreaction because actually if you're using most modern
7 or Vista or 8 is right, it's okay.
Yeah, these attacks were very targeted against specific companies. The vulnerability wouldn't have been effective under the default security configurations of these browsers. They can be configured further to completely mitigate the risk, but whatever. So as of today, all versions of IE 6 and up have apparently been patched already. So instead of waiting for the February security update, Microsoft is releasing this out of band, as they say, because out of band is such a great term that means absolutely nothing to anybody.
No, it's like an old time radio saying, right? Out of band means like you're not on the frequency.
They need to stop using terms like that. I don't.
It's out of cycle. That would make more sense.
Unscheduled.
What does Wikipedia say about out of band?
Wow.
They must. They have articles on everything nowadays. Yep, they do. Out of band is a technical term with different uses in communications and telecommunication. In case out of band signaling bits are sent in special order of delay. You know what? The way Microsoft's using it
is wrong. Well, so they mean it to mean not part of the regularly scheduled monthly security updates.
That's not what it means.
Well, okay.
In general language, it says out of band refers to communications which occur outside of previously established communication method or channel. I guess you could say generously, well, we normally release these on the patch Tuesday, but we're going to release it on, Thursday.
I could be wrong, but I think that definition is referring to something else.
Yeah, I think it's not appropriate.
Well, I think the term stinks regardless of what it's
okay.
technically
In a computer networking, out of band called urgent data in TCP looks to the application like a separate stream of data from the main data stream. Stop using the term. Let's give them a better term.
Out of band it's the type of thing that would trigger a rant from a comedian like, out of band, you're out of band.
You're out of band. I'm out of band, you're out of band.
Anyway, if you are concerned about this, and some people believe you should be, I'm not one of them, but
Gibson gave us a actually good idea. First of all, I think probably most people are not using IE.
Most people listen
to the show.
Most people are using IE, unfortunately.
No, the real people do, but people who listen to the show, the unreal people.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the weirdest things I think in my career, perhaps, is I have to give advice for people, right?
As do I.
The people that don't need my advice should know,
right?
They don't need my advice,
right?
I kind of hope they do.
No, it's with that when I do the radio show, it's a very different conversation, because I'm talking to real people,
sure,
than on this show where I'm mostly
if you're smart enough to realize that what I'm saying doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you.
Whoa,
perhaps
I'm too drunk to understand that.
It's kind of an out-of-band comment.
I think it was a perfect illustration of the out-of-band concept. Steve was talking about, we have it on security now, because he's always done this with IE anyway. And he says, if you don't use IE, use Firefox, but still IE is always used on Windows. It's used for rendering emails in Outlook. It's used for Windows updates. Actually, I guess not in Windows 7.
Insidious.
But you can't turn it off. So what you should do is just go into Internet Options and press default security or custom security, turn it all the way up for the internet zone and the intranet zone. Just turn it all the way up, which means no site will work. And then just add in the trusted sites, Microsoft.com, or as they come, or if you're not using it, add Windows Update and Microsoft.com. And then the good news is you're much safer if you use, when you use Outlook and you have a preview window open, because scripts won't run. You're just much safer. So it's a good idea. I did it on all my Windows machines, even though I use Firefox and Chrome.
Sure.
Anyway, I don't know how I got off on that tangent.
It's okay.
Do you mind? I'm sorry.
No,
I told you I was
drunk.
drunk.
All about tangents.
Yep.
So
let's move on. Windows 7. Windows Mobile 7.
Windows Mobile 7.
So now
there
there'll be
hasn't been a lot of information about this upcoming OS. I think we talked last week or the week before about my feeling that even Windows Mobile 6.5 is going to be okay this year with some releases, some updates and so forth, which is important. But now Microsoft is saying that, in Barcelona next month at the at the Mobile World Congress, they're going to unveil Windows Mobile 7. And then we already knew, but they've re-said that at Mix 10 next month in Las Vegas in March, there'll be even more information, and that hopefully these devices with the new system will ship by the end of 2010. I had a chance to meet some guys from a site called WM Experts. They cover Windows Mobile, and they have other sites for other mobile platforms, and we were talking a bit about the possibilities for the platform and all that. But they have a big report that I blogged about this week where apparently now there are going to be business and media editions of Windows Mobile 7. They have some details about the features and all that stuff.
Why does Microsoft loves doing this stuff?
They love editions, yeah.
They love SKUs.
Yep, they do. They're skewed in that way.
It just confuses consumers.
I agree. Yeah, one of the big problems with Windows Mobile right now is that there are different versions. Even when it was Pocket PC, as the use of this OS for phones became apparent, Pocket PC went from being just something for PDAs for being something. At first, it was PDAs with phone functionality, right? And so there were two versions of the OS, and there was one that worked with phones and one that didn't. And then it was sort of touchscreens and non-touchscreens, and now they have standard and professional. They've always had this differentiation. I wish they would just make a single OS.
It would be my contention. That's one of the things that people like about the iPhone is there's one. Yeah. Even Android is a little fragmented,
Yeah, that's good and bad, though, isn't it? I mean,
there's no choice, but that's it. This is in a nutshell the difference between Microsoft and Apple. Microsoft's all about many, many choices, sometimes too many choices. Apple's about you do it our way or the highway.
Right. One of the choices I'd like to get from Apple would be the iPhone on a different network. I'd like that to be a choice.
Sorry.
Not necessarily saying I would abandon AT&T in a heartbeat and suck up several $100s to do so, but I would. But that I think people, given the opportunity, would choose. And by the way, imagine how much bigger their sales would be if you could get these things on Verizon now and on T-Mobile.
I think actually, in all reality, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to happen this year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but you can understand why Apple's just. That's always been kind of their philosophy. Is in fact they control
it. They control everything.
There's even a dogma. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's a doctrine, I guess would be a better word, of user interface design called monotony that says there should be exactly one way of doing everything. And in the original Apple, user guidelines, there was one way to close a window, not two. There was one way to do this. And, of course, Microsoft's always been, there should be as many ways of doing things as there are users.
That's true. That's true. And Windows is somewhat convoluted in that way. They've always approached it like, we need to make this as obvious as possible for grandma, but if you're a power user, there are other ways to do things that maybe are more efficient. It's kind of a mess. But it's a double-edged sword. There's also the usability of that and the applicability of that to a wider audience. So if you happen to fall into that mold where everything that Apple does is exactly what you want, and there are lots of people like that, those products are great. But, eventually these things have to broaden. And I think you can look at it with the iPod, which was originally very expensive and was only working on the Mac and through FireWire. And as they opened that thing up to Windows and had the store, the thing took off. So I think that, that's the future. I mean, I think Apple tries to retain control as long as they can, and in many cases forever, I guess. But, eventually you have to kind of open it up.
Gosh, I hate to do this. It's kind of turning into the Apple show, but...
Well, but this is not... Yeah, it is. Well, I was going to say,
in context of Microsoft, understand.
It is. And, the one thing I hate to have to keep defending myself in this way, a lot of this Apple stuff is, you have to remember that when we talk about iPods or iPhones or this coming iTablet or whatever it is, these are devices that people use with Windows. Most of those customers are Windows users. So this is applicable. Your popular platforms, it's important to understand how they work with the popular PC platform as well. On the other hand, sometimes we talk about things like Apple phones, tablets, or whatever, and we're talking about it from kind of a competitive standpoint. And one of the things I decided early on, and I'm talking 15 years ago, was if I was going to cover Windows, I wouldn't do it with blinders on, that you can't just pretend that the rest of the world doesn't exist. So that means I wrote about the Mac from day one. I cover Android now because Android's an important competitor. And, Google is an important competitor to Microsoft. If Microsoft is paying attention to these companies, I think it makes sense for us to pay attention to them as well. That doesn't mean we devote the entire show or my entire website to them, but it's something we need to address. It's just the way it is.
Yep. No apologies.
So let's talk about Apple.
No apologies. So, but Windows Mobile 7, I think the HD2 looks spectacular. I'm very interested in what Microsoft...
I can't wait to get it. I can't wait. In fact, I'm trying not to pull the trigger on it and just buying it unlocked. What I really want to do is just get it.
Yeah, get the real thing. But you're going to go to Mix, right?
Yeah.
They'll give it to you in March. Right? Isn't that weird?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they'll give me. I mean,
are you going to go to Barcelona?
No, I can't. And,
I love Barcelona.
This kills me, too, because my kids, we live in Boston area, so in New England, I think, we have different vacation schedules than much of the rest of the country for school. So we have February and April vacations. For the past several years in February vacation, we've gone to Europe for 4 or 5 days. And this year we're going to Florida, which is a lot like Europe, except that it's nothing like Europe. But the reason we're doing that is my wife's parents have moved down there, and our friends from France are actually going to Florida, completely coincidentally, the week that is the kids' vacation. So we've scheduled a vacation with these people in Florida, which is, a lot like Barcelona, like I said. But I'd love to be in Barcelona, but I can't. And I would have gone to Barcelona otherwise, I think. But I'll be covering that remotely. I don't really have a choice. So there you go. Did I mention how much Florida is like Europe? Because it's
Barcelona. There's nothing like it. I love it. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorites.
I'll get there someday. Oh, that was one of our choices for our home swap this year. Oh. And it fell apart. So now we're going to Germany.
Oh, that'll be fun. But the weather's better in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And the food is a lot better in Barcelona.
Okay, let's not talk about Barcelona.
Oh, baby. Paella, Wiener Schnitzel. Which do you want?
Yeah, I like Wiener Schnitzel, actually.
Actually, I love Wiener Schnitzel. I'm not complaining about it. But the Germans are, it's a different style.
Sure.
Of food.
It is. It's a different style all around.
I like the Mediterranean styles myself.
I hear you. Yeah.
And Barcelona, the architecture there.
We're not going to
Gaudi architect. Oh, it's gorgeous. The thing that Barcelona, I've only been there once for 4 days, so I'm not a Barcelona expert. Except I can live with the best of them. Jeez. But the thing about Barcelona that you have to remember is the evening does not begin until after midnight.
Yes, late nights, which I will not experience this year.
An all-night city. The Germans, they go to bed around 9:30.
Oh, listen, if the Germans go to bed at 9, they go to bed at 9, not at 9:01.
9 o'clock.
I was in Germany several years ago, and I stopped to let a guy across the street, and I don't speak this guy's language. He had to be 100. He had to have been 100 years old, but he was yelling at me because what I did was wrong, and that he could wait for me because that was the law, and he wasn't going anywhere.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yikes.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You have to admire that, though. I mean, that's a commitment to precision and excellence. Exactly. Yep. And if I have a choice between a German car or a Spanish car, I'm buying the German car.
The Spanish, what do they make? Clown cars? I mean, what kind of car?
No, is there a Spanish car?
No, there's no Spanish.
They make fine Corinthian leather, however.
Okay.
Okay, one more Apple story. Windows 7 actually works in boot camp.
Two more.
Okay. Two more Apple stories. Windows 7.
Before anyone complains.
3 more.
No, I want, and if there are any complaints, we're going to go for 4. But I want people to understand that this is, I came up with this, not Leo.
Because they blame me. They think
they do.
They think I'm doing this.
But this is all me.
They blame me.
So I'm sorry. It's because I have to please Leo. I don't have enough.
I did get a call on the radio show a few weeks ago from somebody who said, I want to use Windows 7 on my Mac, and I can't. I can't do boot camp. I said,
well,
you have
can. You can, right?
But they didn't have the drivers for it.
Yeah, but the Vista drivers work.
Oh, okay. So I should just say.
So if you have Snow Leopard,
that
comes with the drivers for XP and Vista. You can pop that disk in after you've installed Windows 7 on your Mac, and it will run, and there'll be no questions. It will work. But the issue is, of course, those drivers are for Vista, so they'll work, but obviously what you want are the native, Windows 7 drivers. So Apple finally has shipped this.
You'll have
now,
to
actually, I haven't tested this.
Download those, or you just have to? How do you get them?
You download it.
Okay.
You run it in Windows 7 on the Mac.
Right.
There's also a file, an exe of some kind. So if you've already installed Windows Vista only, and you want to upgrade to Windows 7, you have to run this thing first, and it will do some configuration change that will make it okay. So they do support that as well.
So this is a surprising stat.
Yes.
80. This can't be right. 85% of Mac users use Windows.
You know what? I'm going to say this right now. I am a fool. And I'll tell you why.
Why? Why, you fool?
Because I put that stat in there, and I knew you were going to question it. And what I didn't do was look up where I got that from, right? Because that sounds like something that I made up, right?
Yeah.
It does, right?
Yeah, and you didn't give me a link or anything. I think it's just propaganda.
It's completely, it's like a Wikipedia.
Did Bill Gates tweet this statistic? Yeah. Come on, tell me the truth. This is straight from Bill's tweeter.
No, I should have. I apologize for that.
No. You know what, Paul? You have in my book.
Yes, sir.
I score you so high on the integrity scale. You don't need to give me a reference.
No. I'm not saying this is wrong. It's right.
I know it's right, and I don't even doubt you, and I don't even care where your reference is, because the reference is Paul Thurrott, editor-in-chief of the Super Site for Windows.
No. That's not true. This came from somewhere. Now, I should have done that before we got in.
Came from somewhere. From somewhere, Paul gets the rumor.
That sometimes before I wake up, I have these dreams that I remember.
Paul had
really
a dream that 85% of Macintosh users have Windows installed on their systems.
Yeah, it's 84%, I believe, is the figure. But
by the way, I've learned from our chat room that there is a Spanish car. It is called the Seat.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I must be pronouncing that wrong, because you really wouldn't say, what kind of car are you going to get? I'm going to get a seat. No. I mean the car. What kind of car are you going to get? Just a seat.
Just a seat, yeah.
Would you like an engine with your seat?
It's a unicycle. That's what it is.
They pronounce it.
You see these. They're kind of strange looking.
Of course, they don't pronounce it seat. They pronounce it Seat. It's spelled seat, but it's pronounced Seat.
Yeah, it could be.
He's a fine Corinthian leather. Jace, you will love
I fondly remember those ads. And that and the car, which was a Chrysler Cordoba.
And there is, by the way, no such thing
as fine Corinthian
leather.
Sure.
And if you say Seat carefully, people will say...
That's like we watched a show called International House Hunters, and one feature of every single house, no matter where it is local wood. They'll say, oh, those cabinets look nice. And like, yes, that was made with local wood. Because what's the alternative? What, are they going to ship wood in from some other country? That's the cheap stuff. No, we have this here, so we make stuff with it.
They're telling you that no rainforests were injured to make this house.
Leo, I have an igloo. I made it with local snow. Well, yes, of course you did. That's what you have.
I shipped it in from Dedham. This is not no local snow. This is Dedham snow. Yeah.
Just a little pet peeve of mine.
Local wood.
Local wood.
All right. So one more Apple story. And, I think it's really gracious of you to actually put this in your lineup, because you know that really the truth is, after next Wednesday, there's no point in doing Windows Weekly ever again. Apple.
Right. We're going to be immediately obsoleted by whatever this thing is.
Whatever this God machine is that Apple will announce on Wednesday. Every other computer is now obsolete, useless, stupid.
And I appreciate them getting to it, 8 years after the fact. But I guess what I would just say is there's a lot of the tablet stuff has just gone beyond the usual gadget blog, Apple goober stuff. I mean, the tech press has seized hold of this thing. The mainstream press has seized hold of it. You hear stuff about this from every possible avenue, despite the fact that there isn't a single verifiable detail about this thing, including whether or not they're actually even releasing it or announcing it next week. But assuming that an Apple tablet kind of occurs, I was looking at the market and trying to figure out where this thing would fall, right? Because obviously they have iPods and iPhones. On the low end, they have Macintosh computers. On the high end, this thing's going to have to fall in the middle. So you can sort of figure out if, the mid price between $1,000, which is a low end MacBook laptop, and $500, which is a high end, iPhone or iPod Touch or whatever. $750,
Some say as much as 1,000, some of the rumors.
Absolutely. Well, it's Apple. Yeah. And $1,000 makes a lot of sense. So this is not something that in many ways is a game changer, I don't think. Right. But
we haven't seen it. We don't know. It could be. Right. A game changer.
I'm just assuming what we just said is true. But I think that the big deal about what's going to happen this week, and if it doesn't happen this week, it's happening this year, is that Apple at some point is going to have to address the next major platform for the iPhone. The iPhone 4.0 platform. And I think that most people would agree that this platform is the basis for, obviously, the iPod Touch and iPhone, but also probably this tablet. And that becomes Apple's mainstream platform, right? They'll keep making Macs, of course, but, this is a chance for them to take that platform and expand it to include computer-like capabilities. The iPhone was that, remember, 3 devices in one, right? It was
that's how he announced it.
A phone, an internet device, and a media.
He tricked us in the speech. I was sitting there in the speech. He says, "Today we're going to announce 3 products."
Yeah,
but it's all in one, of course.
This is a chance to expand that platform to include a 4th product, if you will, which is computing, just general computing, the ability to do word processing or whatever. I mean, and this might be an interesting melding of the iPhone stuff on the low end and the Mac stuff on the high end. So I think that's the big thing. And again, as a Windows guy, I'm concerned about this, and I'm curious about it because obviously you have to pay attention to Apple. They're too important not to. There's a lot of silliness around the tablet, and we'll see.
I'll tell you what I think, and no one knows it. We all know that. I don't think this is going to be what anybody thinks it's going to be. I think first of all, this is probably Steve Jobs' last hurrah, right? He has to his name 3 hugely significant product launches: the Apple II computer, which created the personal computer revolution; the iPod, which reinvented music; and the iPhone, which reinvented smartphones.
And the Mac. I mean,
okay, and you could throw the Mac in. I want to leave the Mac out because I'm going to say these are inflection points. Which I guess the Mac was. It was the first GUI.
I think the Mac is arguably even more important than the Apple II because it.
No, you're right. We'll say that
popularized the GUI.
Yeah, so it's GUI. So you're right. So he basically productized stuff that he didn't invent. I mean, all of these things existed, but he created the category and created an inflection point. This is the important point: a paradigm shift in the way we think of technology. And I think the goal with it, now whether they'll succeed or not, we'll have to see. But the goal of this is to do that. I don't think it's going to be another laptop. I don't think it's going to be another tablet. I don't think it's going to be...
It has to be something else. The problem is no one can even imagine what that might be.
Well, I can imagine a media device. I mean, we'll see. But I really think that the goal is to create that 5th milestone, that 5th inflection point in technology.
Yeah, then you become the Michael Jordan of the tech industry.
Exactly. Well, he already kind of is, but I mean that would be it, right? Then he's gone for the hat trick plus 2.
Yeah. Well, the problem with Steve Jobs, of course, is that he's also responsible for the hockey puck iPod, iMac mouse, and whatever else.
Oh, there's plenty. There's the Newton. Well, of course, that was Scully, but there's plenty of failures. But if in your career you've got that's force big. In your career, you've got
let's look at something like the Power Mac G4 Cube, which was beautiful,
and I owned.
Always wanted one of those, but they were way too expensive, and it didn't do very well. And they got rid of it, I think, a little too fast.
You should have done what I did, which is buy it the day they discontinued it. I got it home, went online. This is where that whole thing about Leo buys it, right? That's the end of it. Sure. That's where it started. I got it home. I went online, and it said, Apple announces that they're killing the Cube. And I said, wait, you
bought it without even knowing that?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, yikes. How much did you spend?
Oh, it was like $3,000. It was outrageous. Yeah. And I put, I upgraded. I put a 70 megabyte hard drive in there, whatever it was.
Sure.
I went crazy.
You know, the little disc one in the top, like a toaster. That thing was beautiful.
It was gorgeous. I loved it. Until a spider crawled down in the side.
The spider. Well,
it happened to me.
So, yeah. You know, the tablet thing will probably be beautiful, too. I mean, I guess the question is, you know, you can look at something like an iPod Touch or a regular iPod, which are beautiful devices and very useful, or an iPhone, you know, best of class, useful, right? This thing can't be complementary, right? It can't be something that you carry in addition to your other stuff.
No,
it has to
be new.
If this thing can take place of your notebook computer,
right?
Your media player, your digital camera, your video camera, suddenly it gets really interesting. You know, one of the problems with the iPhone is that it's so small you can't put a decent camera in there.
Right.
Well, if you have a bigger device, you know, the cameras that are in MacBook portable machines or in PC portables are nice. That machine should be able to have a nice camera. That becomes really interesting. We'll see.
We shall see. It's fun to speculate. The speculation will end on Wednesday, and so we'll all...
I think it'd be hilarious if they just announced like another MacBook and here's iPhone 4. No, there was no mention of a tablet whatsoever.
But, you know, they can't do that. At this point, they would have to be putting out like firefighting rumors to all the big papers saying, no, it's not a tablet. Because otherwise they will be, you know, there'll be cries for, you know, burning at the stake if they don't announce something big on Wednesday. They got to. We're taking the entire network and going wall to wall. We are going to do from 8 to 5 on Wednesday, obsessively compulsive coverage of the tablet.
Ooh. Are you going to the event?
Yeah.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Oh, are you kidding? I'm going to the event. I'm going to have a satellite dish on my back. I'm going to be like, I'm special glasses that have like, you know.
You know, next Thursday is going to be a tough day for both of us.
I'm telling you, you might as well this is it. Go home. Yeah. It's over.
Well, we'll see.
This was the day. We'll look back. We'll say, yep, that was the last week where we really thought that this
was the day that Windows turned into sloppy seconds.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
I hadn't really thought of it that way, but now it's kind of an image I'm not going to be able to get out of my mind.
Sorry about that. Anywho, one thing I wanted to mention, it's not on the list, but in tandem with this information we've been discussing around mobile phones and all that stuff, is that a company called AdMob just came out with market share figures for devices worldwide. And one of the interesting kind of bits of pushback I get from people, depending on where they live, is that I either completely dismiss or barely ever mention certain mobile platforms, right? For example, I really like the Palm WebOS stuff. I just feel like they're never going to be successful enough for that to ever matter, you know? So I can't really waste a lot of time looking at it because I just don't think it's ever going anywhere. Or there are things like RIM and BlackBerry, which obviously sell well but just aren't interesting to me. Or things like Nokia, which is popular outside of the United States, supposedly. But again, I think is a brand that is failing badly and is running on really old technology. So what's interesting about these market share figures is that they actually break down device sales in the fourth quarter of last year by market. And what you see is not what I think a lot of these people would expect. For example, brands like RIM and Nokia do not sell as well as you might expect, even in those markets where you might think that they sold really well. So, for example, Leo, I will ask you.
Yes. What
do you think was the best-selling smartphone platform, or device platform, I should say, in Western Europe in the fourth quarter of 2009? If you had a guess.
Well, I know Nokia is like totally dominant in Western Europe. So, but I can't think of which Nokia. Maybe the E71.
No. All you have to say is Nokia.
Nokia.
Yeah, they're not. They're not even close.
No.
Number one by far is Apple.
Oh, that does surprise me. I wouldn't have thought that.
68%. No, of course you would.
But that may reflect the lack of interest in smartphones more than the strength of Apple. I don't know.
I think actually what it reflects is that Nokia lost major ground to Apple throughout last year, and in fact went from a total share of 33% in the fourth quarter of 2008 to only 18% in the fourth quarter of 2009. Apple outsold Nokia in Western Europe almost 10-1. So I think it's about 9-1, and dominated that market by far. The places where Nokia did very well were places like Asia and Africa, and also, oddly, Eastern Europe. although to a lesser extent. The places where the iPhone, or I should say Apple, because I think this includes iPod Touch as well, by the way.
Okay.
I think, is places like Latin America, Western Europe, North America, and also what they call Oceania, which I assume is Australia and New Zealand area. It's kind of interesting, and unfortunately, and Apple does this too when they talk about market share figures. There's, Windows Mobile doesn't appear in this list because there is no Windows Mobile handset maker. There are companies like Samsung and Motorola and HTC, LG, Sony Ericsson, where some of those devices are Windows Mobile and some of them aren't. So this thing doesn't give us a look at the operating system share. But actually, I'm sorry, actually they do, in fact, provide that information separately. So, for example, in Western Europe, the iPhone OS represents 78% of the markets on smartphones only. Okay, that does not include iPod Touch. Dominates Nokia, which only had 10%. In North America, iPhone OS had 54% of the market, compared, by the way, to 27% for the number 2 player, which was Android.
Wow.
Yeah, and that by far is that system's best market. Wow. Third place was RIM, BlackBerry, 10%, and Windows Mobile had 3%.
So really, BlackBerry's success is all in North America.
Yeah, and looking at this, it's North America and a little bit in Latin America, and then there's just a sliver everywhere else, including Western Europe. Africa and Asia, it's Symbian. Almost 90% in Africa and 69% in Asia. But the number 2 in both of those places is fascinating to me, is iPhone. 92% for iPhone in Oceania.
Wow.
So worldwide market
share. It's pretty
share.
Successful. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you look at the entire world, fourth quarter, smartphones only, Apple iPhone OS is 51% of the market. Symbian is 21%. They are number 2. And Android is 16%, and they're number 3. And you have to think they didn't place at all last year.
Right.
RIM is 4th with 6%, and Windows Mobile is 5th with 3%.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not that you I would never have thought that. In fact, you asked me, and I got it wrong. That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah. And actually, this explicitly calls out Android. Android was only 1% of all smartphone traffic in the fourth quarter of 2008, and now they're 16%.
Wow, that's incredible. Actually, I'm very encouraged by that growth. I am really very hopeful that Android will provide an open alternative to Apple. And frankly, I hope Windows Mobile comes back. Windows Mobile 7. The more competitors there are, the more choices for us, the better for everybody.
Right.
And I love the iPhone, and I think if my mom asked me what kind of phone to get, I'm going to tell her iPhone. But if you asked me, I'd say an Android-based device.
Yeah, I think really the decision process here has to extend beyond the phone, because eventually, Android, especially Windows Mobile, absolutely, RIM definitely, and even the Palm OS will have an app store that makes sense. They're never going to equal the number of apps, but as far as the number of actual useful apps that everyone wants,
I think Android's very close. There's very few gaps.
I think they're going to, if they're not there, they will be this year. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. So you have to look beyond that. You have to look at things like, how important is digital media to you and getting content back and forth on the device?
Yeah, these are the questions we ask. Do you need email? Get a BlackBerry. If email is very important.
Not just email, by the way, but what kind of email?
Right.
If you are a Hotmail user, and that's all you use, no, seriously.
Windows Mobile.
Windows Mobile might be the right solution.
In fact, if Windows is a very key platform for you in general, and you use Office heavily, I think Windows Mobile is a very, very good
absolutely.
choice.
And as sad as Windows Mobile might be right at this moment, the truth is, the solutions for Hotmail access, Hotmail, by the way, being by far the most popular email service in the world, they're not so good.
No, you can't use it on iPhone. You can't use it on Android.
Well, you can, but you have to buy an application.
Right.
It's lousy. I expect that to change this year, by the way. But
and by the way, that's Microsoft's fault, because they don't support standard protocails like POP or IMAP.
Exactly. And I literally just had a conversation with them about this, and I think what I can say right now is they know.
They've artificially created this. This is not a knock on the iPhone. They've artificially created this.
I think what they wanted was for other companies to get such a big lead that they could then come from behind. So there,
go on. You go ahead. I'm gonna lag back here. You just go ahead, and I'll see you. I'll meet you for lunch down the road.
It's really worked for them, I have to say.
You take the high road, and I'll sit here in the mud and.
Yeah.
It's too bad because Hotmail was so dominant.
Well, it still is. I mean, it's humongous.
It's amazing. Have they converted everybody from Hotmail to Live, or is it?
It's all on the same thing now.
Because I think I still have a Hotmail address, but it's all the same.
If you used to use MSN Hotmail or whatever, that's gone.
Right.
You know, it's all up on Windows Live now.
So, but my Hotmail address, would it be the same?
Oh, you can still keep your Hotmail address.
I do.
Absolutely.
But can I just? Yeah. And it's so if I emailed that address at live.com, it would go to the same place.
No. You'd have.
I have to convert it.
No, it's not like when .mac went to me.com.
Right. Okay. So
no, you'd have to
I got to go in there. Satan's Buddy 32 at hotmail.com. Got to go fix that.
Yeah. Probably shouldn't have said that out loud. Because I'm sure
oops.
Registering that exact address.
Darn it. Scooped again. You know, somebody got Bill Gates at Twitter. I'm stunned. Oh, it's Bill.
Yeah.
What is the story there?
Well, what?
Why is Bill tweeting? Didn't he very famously 2 months ago kill his Facebook account?
Yeah, so I don't care.
You don't care at all?
What I do care about is, why does anyone else care? This guy was not interesting when he ran Microsoft. He's not interesting when he's not running Microsoft.
Read his tweets. He's actually not.
He's not interesting on a train. He is not interesting on a plane. I don't understand what what's the cachet here? He's the world's richest man, I guess, still, or
he
whatever.
He went from 0 followers to 286,000 as of last count in literally 3 days because people like Kevin Rose and me. No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But other Twitterati said, "Oh, Bill Gates is on Twitter," and everybody went click follow.
So you should be immediately suspicious of anyone who did that because this guy is so thoroughly uninteresting. I remember I used to stand in line to go see this guy speak, and you'd always run into some goobers who are like,
so boring.
Oh my god, we're going to see Bill Gates, and it's like, you've never seen this guy speak, have you? No, I can't wait to see this.
So here's Bill's first tweet. Hello world. Which makes me think he wrote it. I don't think an admin is writing this. I think Bill is writing this. Hello, world. Hard at work on my foundation letter. Publishing on 125. Then he retweets Ryan Seacrest and Time. Yikes. Then he talks to Ryan Seacrest and says, thanks for your work on this. It will have a real impact for the people in Haiti who need it most. Then he tweets Ashton Kutcher. Thanks to you and all the other people who have welcomed me. I've got a lot to learn about Twitter, but look forward to sharing more.
Listen, wake me up when he says anything about the tech industry.
Oh, no. He's not. My new website is live.
Yes.
Check out thegatesnotes.com. Couldn't they get a better URL? Thegatesnotes.com. Excited to share more about what I'm learning. Hope you like it.
I have no respect for this at all. At all.
Although taxes on an industry are often bad, I agree with El Arian. He gives a link. Next, solve the deficit, or it is the next crisis. Wow, that's insightful.
Sure.
And you don't really want to hear that from the richest guy in the world. You shouldn't be.
We're screwed.
You really don't. It's not instilling confidence.
No.
Oh, well. You're right. You're not going to hear, A, what he had for breakfast, which even that would be better than this, or B, insight into the tech community, or, here's nothing.
Nothing.
And what's this design, Bill? Did you see the design?
No, I didn't look at it. I don't care. Oh, there it is.
What's this? What are these
What
dots?
is that over there? Is it like a nipple
It's like
or something?
rivets. I don't know what it is. What is it?
Huh.
This is his design, and it doesn't even, the wallpaper doesn't even repeat properly.
This is like a sniper bullet, impact.
I believe it's to illustrate our interconnectedness, but I'm maybe giving him a little more credit than he deserves. And interesting, he follows, people you'd expect, Stephen Levy, Microsoft, and Ashley Tisdale, the star of High School Musical 1, 2, and 3. Neat. He does use the word, one of his favorite words, cool, right there in his bio, sharing cool things I'm learning through.
No, he's like a person,
Cool and neat. I expect to see more uses of neat.
I could not care less.
It's a really neat website.
Couldn't care less.
Oh, I think it's funny. I mean, it's just, I'm glad it's clearly him. That's what I like.
That's why I know I don't care.
Yeah, because if it were like if it were
Hey, listen.
Wagner Edstrom.
Steve Jobs is an interesting person, although him tweeting would be hilarious because there would only be one message and it would just say something like, I hate all of you. Why are you bothering me?
Angry.
And that would be the end of it.
Angry. Just angry.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I don't think Pam Edstrom is writing these. I think these are from the mind of Bill.
No. This is it. Yeah.
Yep.
Boring.
You're jaundiced, though. You've been covering him for years.
I get it. The guy's saving the world. God bless him.
He is. His foundation is doing good.
No,
good
it's
work.
great.
Yeah.
And I'm not disparaging that in the slightest. Not what I'm doing in life, and I don't really need to follow it. There are other people doing good stuff in Haiti right now, for example. I don't have a little link to them on my website. I mean, that's not my world. I cover other stuff.
This is going to be fun. I've just received this link from our chat room. Let's watch Paul's reaction when I tell him that Neelie Kroes has just been nominated for the European Technology Commissioner.
Yeah, you know what? And she's gonna get the job.
Of course she is.
I laughed out loud. There was a story last week where two of the countries involved in this. I don't understand how this works exactly, but two of the countries involved in the process of getting her this job raised concerns about her, which I thought was beautiful because I think everyone should have concerns about this woman. And
she's the one who went after Microsoft, folks.
All she had to do apparently was just meet with them and calm them down, and I guess she did. So I think she's going to get the job.
Her nomination is now assured, said Judith Merkis.
There it is, yeah. Because she kissed up like she had to.
So she's going to be, I don't know what this job is.
All it means is I'm going to have to keep dealing with this woman.
You're right. Now. She's the new commissioner for the digital agenda.
Yeah. And you see, unfortunately, it's a sad statement on the way things are going in the world, but Bill Gates is someone I'm not interested in, and Neelie Kroes is someone I am.
Right. Now, if she starts tweeting.
What happened here?
You really got in. Something went wrong.
What happened?
You spent too much time in Amsterdam.
No, it's not.
You got Europeanized, like those bees, Africanized bees.
Words,
you're an Africanized Paul.
It is the tech industry we're concerned about here, and Neelie Kroes is now important to the tech industry, and Bill Gates is not.
That's true.
That's the world of today.
I'll give you that. She is pro net neutrality, apparently.
Awesome.
We'll see.
Awesome.
We shall see. All right, we are going to take a little break and get with Paul's recommendations for the tip of the week and the software of the week and all that. But first, our Audible pick of the week, audible.com. That's the great website where you can find 100 million, billion, gazillion books. No, but it is 70,000 now. It's going up all the time. Great audio books recorded by professional readers who do such a great job bringing these books to life. I have an audio, I get in the car, my audiobook is going. I just love it. In fact, I get in the car extra. I get in the car and I sit in the driveway.
Sit in the car.
I just sit in the car because I love Audible so much.
I want you to roll down the window.
Well, believe me, I do. No, I'm not going there. Audible.com/Windows is the place to go to sign up for the Gold account. That's going to give you a book a month. Not enough for me, but it's a start. It's a start. You're going to get hooked, though. You're going to want to hear more because it's all of the stuff that you've thought, I always wanted to read that, but I just don't have time. You have the time. It's the time you spend sitting in the car in commute hours. It's the time you spend on the treadmill at the gym. It's the time you spend walking the dog or doing the dishes. You have probably 2 hours a day you could spend reading great stuff or listening to great stuff at audible.com. Just think of all the reading you'll get done. And it's not work. It's not an assignment. It's just fun. Audible.com/Windows. And Paul, as usual, you've got a great recommendation for us. Is this a book you're reading now or about to read?
It is a book I am just starting.
And it's
appropriate.
It's appropriate.
Yeah, the author, Robert P. Parker, died this week.
Yeah.
I want to say he was 77 years old. It was kind of a surprise because he was in great health. And,
I knew you were a fan of his, too. You've recommended some of his books before.
Yeah, I want to say I probably recommended one of the Jesse Stone books, I bet, previous. But, his original big series, of course, was the Spencer series.
You bet. Spencer for Hire, baby. And he does, he has youth Spencer novels as well as...
Yeah, and he also, he has a series of books where there's a female protagonist. And
there's 58 Robert B. Parker books on Audible.
So one of the statistics I was amazed by the way, is that he has written, now I think that 2 of them have not been published, but he has written, I want to say, 30 or 40 Spencer books. He's written over a dozen Jesse Stone books. He's written 7 books, but this I can't think of her name, the female protagonist. And he also wrote a book that was made into a movie a few years ago called Appaloosa.
Oh, I love that movie with Ed whatever, yeah.
The bald guy.
The bald guy.
Not Ed Norton.
I always think of him as John Glenn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that guy.
Well, now it's bugging me. I can't think of his name.
What's his name? Chat room, please. The guy, the bald guy, John Glenn.
It is Ed, but not Ed.
Ed Baig, Edward Norton, Ed Harris. Thank you very much.
Ed Harris. Thank you.
QWERTY 2. Got that one.
National Treasure 2, for example.
Yeah.
Anywho,
so which one should we read if we are new to the Spencer Irv?
I had to go all the way back to the beginning to the Godwolf manuscript, which is the first book in the series. And actually, I don't know if I saw this quote on audible.com or maybe in the story I read about Robert B. Parker's death, but Spencer was referred to as Boston's answer to James Bond, which I thought was kind of excellent. Although I thought of myself as Boston's answer to James.
You're suave, you're debonair, you drink martinis.
Yeah. Anyhow, obviously start at the beginning. So
now this is narrated by Michael Pritchard, who is absolutely one of Audible's
this is a good one. So one of the things I noticed looking through some
let me just play a little bit of Michael here.
The caller said they had a manuscript and would return it.
That's from the prologue. I wish they would give me a juicy chunk from the middle there.
Well, actually, the book is told in the first person, so that.
Oh, maybe it is. Oh, okay. The Godwolf manuscript. Have you read them all?
No. But now this is the thing. I kind of skipped through them over time, so I had read them in no particular order, and not all of them. So I think now I'm going to try to go back.
This is where Audible is so great, and I got to warn people, because what happens is you start a series like I started the Master and Commander series, the Patrick O'Brien seafaring novels. There's 21 of them, and you just,
it's like reliving that age in real time.
In real time. Maybe even a little slower. It took me like 4 or 5 years, but it's so great because it's like an old friend and you go back to him. And once you get a series like this, like the Spencer series, it's really a wonderful thing. And I can't recommend it more highly. Audible.com/Windows. That first book is yours for free. And I think the first Spencer, Robert B. Parker's Godwolf manuscript, in honor of Parker's passing this week. And a great novelist. Boy, that'd be great. I'd love to go through all of those. I'm going to have to start this. All right, now time. By the way, we thank Audible for supporting Windows Weekly. They're great people, too, and highly recommended. Now it's time for your tip of the week, Mr. Thurrott.
Yes, this one is courtesy of Rob Truman, who turned me onto the service. Is a new service called Social, like social with an extra O. And what it provides is a single address book. It gives you a way to actually sync all of your address books, at least the ones you want to sync. So online services like Gmail, Hotmail.
I need this.
Yeah, I do too. Now,
and it's not Plaxo.
No, God, no. It's not
that's this real recommendation is. It's not Plaxo.
No, but here's the thing, and I want people to be very careful with this. As I started to work with this, it occurred to me I'm handing off my address book to this company. I'm not so much worried about the privacy stuff, but what if something goes wrong, right? And 2 things I think could go wrong here. One is you could get data scrambled. So you're going to want to back up what you have. The other issue is, depending on where you're getting data from, you do want to be careful with it. And one of the areas that applies to me and may apply to you is if you're using Windows Live Messenger, which is Microsoft's IM client, it utilizes Microsoft's contacts database up in the cloud, which is now called Windows Live People, to stock, the list of contacts that you have, right?
Right.
If you do some sort of thing where you consolidate your address book across different services and maybe do a deduplication type of thing, it's possible you might blow away some people who are actually in your IM list, which would be a big mistake. So you just want to be careful when you're doing this. So I would say be sure to back stuff up. I went into Gmail, for example, and they do have a way to back up locally.
Oh, yeah.
And I would just
always
be sure.
a good idea. And this
Yeah, so
service
I
even
actually did
says
that.
we're still in beta, be careful, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah, I just want people to be careful because it just occurred to me going into it that some things could happen. I happen to sync my Gmail contacts list to my iPhone, for example. So that's something I don't want to lose because I've got pictures there and some other stuff. So obviously I want that to be maintained.
But it has
anyway.
BlackBerry, Windows Mobile, iPhone, Sony, Ericsson, Nokia, Motorola, Samsung, add a Mac, add Outlook, add Gmail, Windows Live, Yahoo. So presumably you'd add all these accounts, right? And then dedupe them.
Right. So what they have up there in the service, if you sign up for it, is they have different tools that you can run on your address book, this consolidated address book. It does automatic syncing back to all the sources if you want it to, which is great. But one of those tools is, of course, deduplication, which is great.
Really
but,
good, yeah.
Be careful too. So you may have slightly different versions of people in different contacts book. This is a nice chance to get those things all consolidated.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of Plaxo without the extra fee and without, to me, the privacy issues of Plaxo spamming
and the weird social networking kind of
the pulse and all that stuff. As soon as Comcast bought Plaxo, that was it. I said I can't let Comcast have this information. But these complete strangers at Social, no problem.
Absolutely no problem. Well, yes, right. There are always going to be concern, and there are going to be people who, kind of look at this and think, well, who are these guys? And maybe this isn't time, but
oh no, it's Web 2.0. It's fine with me. It's got.
It's fine with me too. But I mean, I understand.
But we warn you. Consider yourself warned. If they turned out to be a branch of the CIA,
China, perhaps,
or the Chinese government,
I recommend not using IE6, for example, to browse this site.
That's probably a good idea.
Or any other site.
However, if you want to use Firefox 3.6, you might want to. This is this just came out, right? This is Paul's software.
I was so excited to see this. I went and tried to upgrade my browser, and it had already upgraded.
It does it for you. Yeah, if you use Firefox, chances are you are using 3.6.
Yeah, so if you were on the previous version, which is great, one of the things you could add on after the fact was this thing called personas. And I'm actually a big fan of anything that allows you to customize the user experience. I think back to that original Plus pack that Microsoft had for Windows 95. Everyone kind of made fun of that. But I think that the ability to have themes and customize the colors and stuff. I think people like that kind of stuff, and it makes your relationship with the computer in that case, or the interface, or whatever it is, a little more personable. So some of those personas are actually really nice. I think the confusing part is that they are still separating personas, which allows you to kind of colorize or have a background picture in a lot of that empty area of the Chrome, and then there's this separate thing for themes, which is a way to style the toolbars with different button types and all that kind of stuff. So you can actually...
So a theme is not a persona. A persona is not a theme.
Yeah, they're not the same. And I would suspect going forward they will be made the same. Although Mozilla also provides an interesting notion of a collection. And a collection is a persona and a theme and then one or more add-ons. So maybe you want one that will customize it to work well with Windows 7 or something, and there'll be some number of, get rid of the menu, add that glass effect, add that new Strata UI or whatever. They provide all that stuff in a single package. It's not completely seamless, but anyway, personas are now part of the browser, and I think that's a nice big step there. So
very cool.
Nice.
3.6 is here, and you may already have it if your Firefox is auto updating. Yeah. I'm gonna have to try these personas. I don't really quite understand how it's distinct from themes. Oh, look, here's a beautiful full color video explaining in great detail. I sit in front of my computer all day long with a guy with a Ponzi accent.
Awesome way to change things up to fit my
she drives a Fiat. I can tell.
She looks like she's driving it now.
Yeah, how do they get that? How do they do that? These guys are moving without moving.
It's almost like stop motion animation.
Yeah, but then they're talking. You can't do that in stop motion.
Right.
And that number is
growing every day. I see what's happening. The stop motion stops when they talk. There's people all over the world. And then they stop talking and they do the stop motion again. So they're like, they're on little wheelies.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They've got a little dolly with a camera on it. That was Bill. I swear that was Bill Gates. Wait a minute. Let me go back here. I swear.
Probably not Bill Gates.
You sure he's not in a Mozilla commercial? Because Maybe that was just a trick of the eye.
Again.
Yeah. I like this Firefox.
It seems really fast and secure. How come no more people don't use it?
Anybody know about this?
There he is.
Hey guys. Does he have a team now?
Do we make this? Can we buy these?
Can we buy these? What is this? Firefly thing.
The problem is he'll go to the door and he'll realize the locks have all changed.
You don't work here, Bill. You no longer work here. Go tweet. Does Balmer tweet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Balmer would be a good tweeter.
Balmer, they wouldn't let him near tweet. Every time
Monkey
he talks,
boy.
he opens his mouth and he reveals stuff he's not supposed to talk about.
That's true.
Pam
Edstrom would be watching.
Yeah, I don't
Very
think they're going to let
carefully.
him hear that.
Paul Thurrott, always a great pleasure. I really enjoy doing this show, and I know that it is one of our most popular shows, not because people like Windows, because they don't.
Because of all the Apple stuff.
Because of all the Apple stuff. So I really appreciate your including that for my benefit.
I would just say that next week after Apple makes this big announcement, I think you can expect there not to be any Apple stuff.
We're going to call this Tablet Weekly.
Yeah.
No.
Obsolete Weekly.
I'm just saying this because I just like to see, I can see them now. I see Joe and Sally and Tommy, and he's turning red. Oh, look, the steam's coming out of Patrick's ears. Oh, yes. Freddie. Oh, I just love it. No, I just like to tease you guys. This is a Microsoft show, and don't you forget it. Next week, Paul will tell us why Apple sucks.
Wow.
It's a heavy burden, Paul.
I kind of like Apple. They don't do everything right. I would say that.
But who does?
You know what I don't like are the people who like Apple.
That's who I don't like.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Apple's
fine. It's the fans that would, the users.
The crazy fans, those guys are nuts.
No, you're actually not alone. I think that often they do more harm.
They don't do well by you.
Right.
If you're a Mac guy,
you can't win.
The people who are out there speaking for you on the web, they're not your friends.
Yeah, it's true. When I said I was going to use the Nexus One for my phone instead of the iPhone.
Oh, you must have gotten hate mail from these jerks.
Oh, it's like they made up stuff about me to slam me. Not as much hate mail as I got when I said
Leo betrays Apple again.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's some unknown prior slight,
right, that I don't even remember. No, most of it was like, oh yeah, well, okay, we'll see how long that lasts. And,
okay.
I make no commitment.
I've been playing around with my wife's phone lately, and I have to say that it's got an 800 by something screen.
The screen's spectacular.
Text looks beautiful.
Yeah. Well, wait till you see the Nexus One, because it's the same resolution as the Droid screen, but it's OLED, which means it's.
They need to fix the store to be a little more. They don't have something like top 10 apps in any given category.
Yeah, they do.
It's not as late. It's not as.
Well, they're featured, but you're right. It's not. No,
they have featured, but they don't have.
No, you're right.
They'll get there.
But I think what happens with the store, you just go. I go there every few days to see is there anything new. But that's a problem with the Apple store. So
Apple, one thing Apple does is of course, I don't know how the store works for apps, but every Tuesday is sort of like the release day.
No, they don't do that on this.
They don't do that on Android. They should.
Well, that's one of the strengths of the Android is that when a developer wants to update, he just does, and so. Sure. I can go to the download section, see what I've already downloaded, and if there's new stuff, it'll say there's new stuff. And every day or so, I'll get a notice saying some updates to your existing software, and it does that automatically. That's nice. See, there's featured. If I go, here's the featured apps, and so I browse through these.
No, I know there are features that but I think they just need more different ways to look for stuff. Obviously, you can search.
Same complaint about the iTunes store. When you have 120,000 apps. There's great stuff slipping through the cracks. For example,
there should be like a farting category. I could choose from the top 10 of those.
Exactly. What is the best fart app?
I'm looking for some kind of like flabby flatulence kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Juicy,
I think the iPhone is
dry.
the phone for you. Yeah. There are, by the way, Android has a considerable number of fart apps. Just so you know, we have fart parody. Oh, yeah.
I see. All right. So they've
total fart parody.
They're copying.
Or maybe I should say total flatulence parody, because it could be, there's a variety of gaseous emissions that it could simulate.
So they have the app.
But what you can't do on the iPhone that you can do on Android 2.1 is, watch, I'm going to dictate to the search. You press the microphone button.
This is the voice control.
Fart applications. and then it transcribes that, and it'll actually
send me an email.
It'll do the search for fart application. So that's something you really can't do on the iPhone.
Would you describe that as an innovation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. iSounds farts, Droid fart, Noble fart, I farted fartometer, G burp. See, that's why you don't want to limit yourself.
It's like I fart, you fart, we all fart.
Yeah.
Wow.
But there's a couple of free ones. But the one that is billed as the #1 fart app, Droid fart, is 99 cents. I would just have to get it because it's the #1.
Sure.
As opposed to the #2.
What price your soul?
It's sad, isn't it? That we've come to this.
Is that a picture of?
What do you think it is?
Is that a butt? I can barely see it on the screen, but
I believe that it's a tuchus.
It's like you get up in the morning and it's a little blurry at first, and you're like, "What am I looking at?"
That's that on my phone. What the hell is that on my phone? And I haven't downloaded and installed it, but I'm thinking you probably have to. That's the button.
That would be
the button.
It's finger friendly.
Oh God.
And I believe you.
We have really hit a new low here. A nadir of I thought there were
no children in there today.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. My deepest apologies to each and every one of you. Please do come back to the new Tablet Weekly next week. Thanks. Same time, same place. We do this show live if you want to watch it uncensored. You can watch it live 11 a.m. Pacific on Thursdays. That's 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's 1900 UTC at live.twit.tv, or just subscribe in iTunes, the Zune store. You can even get it download directly from twit.tv/WW for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott is the editor-in-chief of the Supersite for Windows at winsupersite.com. News editor for Windows IT Pro, the author of The Fantabulous. Somebody tweeted it, actually. He sent the tweet to Ed Bott. The guy tweeted, "I'm sorry, Ed. I know this is not the name of your book, but because of Leo and Windows Weekly, I just can't help think of Windows 7 secrets every time your name comes up."
Thanks. I often think of Ed Bott every time I look at my book. Or something.
I don't know why. Windows 7 Secrets from Wiley & Sons. It is the definitive, the one, the only. Yes, there are others, but this, except no substitutes, this is the one you want for your Windows 7 needs. Paul, we'll see you next week on Windows Weekly.